President Obama taking credit for the strong economy. Roll tape.
So by the time I left office, wages were rising, uninsurance rate was falling, poverty was falling, and that's what I handed off to the next guy. So when you hear all this talk about economic miracles right now, remember who started it.
Okay. Former Reagan Economist Art Laffer is with us, a fine person to have on this Tuesday morning. All right, does President Obama deserve any credit for the current economic miracle?
He seems to be a very likable man, and he has a way with the words of twisting. But a lawyer is a lawyer is a lawyer, whether he was president or not. It was the worst single recovery in U.S. history, well, post-World War II U.S. history, and it was a terrible thing. Of course, right after he leaves office, they start rising, because there was a change in policies. And Trump has just done a great job, and Obama did not do a good job. But boy, is he polished and is he smooth. And I would love to have dinner with him sometime if he didn't know who I was.
Yeah, right.
So I could be friends with him, because he looks like a great guy to be with, but not to have as president.
Look, I'm going to ask you about President Trump looking for a 10% middle-class family tax cut. But before I get there, can you explain this market sell-off? We're down 300 points. What's the reason? Any idea?
Not really. I can't. The only thing I think of is, and it's very different from your commentators on that, is, sell-offs that come before the elections, just before elections, usually are forecasts of what will be. And it worries me a little bit that this sell-off is taking place before the November election, that the market might know something that I don't. But I don't think so. I think we're going to do just fine in this election from my analysis. But I think it's the election, not any of these other things that you're talking about.
Really? The election? That surprises me. Because President Trump has been doing very well in the polls recently, and the gap between the Republicans and the Democrats in these generic polls has closed to virtually nothing. It's a come-from-behind trend that we're seeing now.
But let me just take you back to 2008. 2008, if you look at the stock market and plot that stock market throughout 2008, it's the exact inverse of Obama's probability of winning the election. The market was literally forecasting Obama coming in and becoming the next president and doing all sorts of horrible policies, which is exactly what he did. And that market anticipated that quite accurately. And you can see that there. So I always worry, because markets look to what will be, not what has been. Trump has done a great job in his first 2 years in office. He's not even through 2 years. And he's done the best job, I think, of any president for sure in the post-war period, and just as phenomenal in the economy. But, this market is looking to the future, not the past.
Wow, the best performance in the first 2 years of any president since World War II. That's pretty strong stuff there,
And by that I mean the first full term of any president in the post-war period. He's done better, way better than Reagan, and Reagan was the second best, or Kennedy was the second best. I mean, he just did he's done an amazing job, and, he continues to keep doing it, and he doesn't let off. I mean, he even wants a tax cut before the change.
Well, yeah, I want to refer to that. I want to refer to that because last night he specifically said he wants a 10% tax cut for middle-income families. But now, obviously, he's not going to get that before the election, which is only 2 weeks away, and Congress is not in session. But could that give the market and the economy another leg up if that's what we got next year?
Yeah, I think it could, and I think if he passes that, that would be probably in the lame duck session if he loses the House. But I don't think there's any guarantee that he's going to lose the House. I think it's about 50-50 in the House. I think in the Senate, the Republicans pick up 2 to 4 seats in the Senate, which is where we really need it. You're going to have a lot better Senate following this election, I think, than you had prior to it, and it was pretty darn good prior to it as well. I mean, the Kavanaugh vote and all these other votes, the tax bills, all those were done prior to the change in the Senate, and this Senate will be better. So I am really looking forward to Trump continuing these economic growth policies. And, thank goodness for people like Steve Mnuchin and Larry Kudlow and Kevin Hassett. I mean, Larry's, as you know, is one of my best friends, and he is just doing a spectacular job on advising the president.
I've got 30 seconds left.
Yes, sir.
Would you buy a ticket for the $1.6 billion Mega Millions lottery?
You know, I would buy one ticket, Stuart, and I would give it to you. Because you said you will never buy one. It's the biggest waste of money. And there's nothing nicer than a friend giving you something that you would never get for yourself.
No state income tax in Tennessee, Mr. Laffer.
Yes, I know. Isn't it wonderful?
It's a wonderful thing.
Ashley, we still miss you terribly here.
Thank you, Art.
Well, Art, I'm speechless, but I will take the lottery ticket if you come up here and buy one. Okay.
It's a deal. I'll do it.
Mr. Laffer, we'll see you again real soon. That's a promise. Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Sure thing.